Hello, Daniel. How are you?
Elliot, all okay. Thanks a lot.
Good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Can I just start by asking you just to give us a little bit of team news? Obviously, you've had a lot of players away on international duty here, there, and everywhere.
Yes, it's a bit tricky because many of them really arrive pretty late or are just on their way back. Like Josh Sargent, who still finished the game more or less yesterday morning. So there will be some late decisions. Definitely out will be Christoph Zimmermann. He's got a ankle problem during this week, a swollen ankle. Definitely out will also be Dimitrios Giannoulis. He was also left out of the last game day squad for the Greek national team, so with some back and neck problems. And these are more or less the two topics I can confirm. We need to have some late decisions, definitely, because many players picked up some little knocks and there are some question marks. Josh Sargent, for example, like I mentioned, so he finished the game yesterday morning at 5, was then on the plane at 7 to Heathrow, 11 hours flight. Then the travel back from Heathrow back to Norwich, arrived pretty late. Reported that he was struggling to sleep overnight and reported also a hamstring problem. So we have to scan him, have to assess him. So there will be definitely some late decisions about availability for tomorrow, but we will see.
What's the situation with Kenny McLean? Obviously, he had a slight injury, I think, while he was with the Scotland team.
Yes, he returned back to us in the beginning of the week and had some problems with his knee and had some individual rehab sessions in the beginning. Thank God, since yesterday, he's also back in team training, and we have to wait right now how his body reacts. We have a session also in the afternoon, but I think it's more or less good news. He seems to be around.
Well, that is good news for you, I must say. At the moment, the Premier League are in negotiations with the footballing authorities to try and come to some sort of a conclusion in this row that FIFA are stopping players playing for their clubs this weekend. How important is it that we get a resolution to this? Because there's another international window coming up quickly next month.
Yes, in general, I leave it also with the experts. So we are not so much involved in this topic, but in general. So I know it's tricky. It's also not really easy answer, like it's a clear black or clear white decision anyhow. So it's always a bit tricky because there are arguments and advantage and disadvantage for both sides. I think it's important that we have a general solution, and have some leadership also in this topic, so that everything is quite clear, because it's not easy for the clubs to deal with it. We will see what happens, but I leave it with the experts, and I also trust our key people that they are there with some really good decisions.
FIFA are pressing ahead, or certainly very interested in a World Cup every 2 years instead of 4 years. Where do you stand on this? Are you a 2-year man or a 4-year man?
I would go for each and every year. Then we can celebrate World Cups each and every year and earn some money and whatever. Again, it's not so much my topic. So in general, you have to say, I think we have to be careful with overloading our players with more games, with more load. That's definitely a topic where we have to be unbelievable careful. Because I think it's not good for the quality of the game when there are too many games. That's definitely for sure. I know about the necessities. I'm not naive, anyhow, in this business also to earn some money. That's also for sure. But I think we also have to be careful not to overload our supporters, anyhow. So once you have a World Cup more or less each and every year, then it's no. Not such an excitement like it is at the moment, all 4 years. So yes, we can discuss about each and every topic, but in general, so my opinion is to be unbelievably careful not to overload the players, but also not to overload the supporters with too much football. Otherwise, we'll lose them at one point. And I would be quite careful with this topic. But again, it's not so much that I'm too much involved, if I'm honest.
Would you stick with 4 years then? In your idea, should it be every 4 years? In your opinion?
If I'm honest, I haven't read the plans really carefully, so I had too much to do during this international breaks. Instead of reading each and every details, perhaps some advantage also for 2 years in general, just without really having all the knowledge about all the details. I would say I would definitely stick with 4 years, because I think to overload the supporters and to overload the players makes no sense if you find then in your solution that it's not more games for the players, or perhaps also for the supporters. There are some advantages. Yes, and you could speak about this, but in general, I would be unbelievably careful in order to change the schedule like we have at the moment.
There have been some reports in the last 48 hours, or one report suggesting that there was some late interest in Max Aarons from Borussia Dortmund. Are you able to shed any more light on that? Was there an approach from Borussia Dortmund for him late on?
No, I don't comment any rumors, and that's not our style. It's also not good for us, not for any other clubs who are possibly involved anyhow. So I don't do this anyhow, just in order to praise our players or whatever. So it's not our style to comment this rumors. The only thing I can confirm, there was not just late interest in Max Aarons, there was also early interest anyhow. But I was quite confident during the window. Max is a key player for me. Max is a key player for us, and we need him in order to be successful. And for us, it was never really a topic to let him go.
How do you see the game against Arsenal, Daniel? Is this a real opportunity for you to pick up your first point to the Premier League, given the pressure and situation that Arsenal face themselves at the moment?
Well, we have 3 game days, and I think it's too early to judge. Also, not the other clubs, not us in general. So each and every game on this level is an opportunity to win some points, and we were also greedy to win some points, even at the Etihad and Manchester City. And of course, they also want to be competitive and get off the mark at the Emirates. That's also for sure. But we are also quite respectful. Arsenal has still unbelievable amount of quality players. Yeah, they were struggling in the first game days, also a bit with their availability of their key players. And how I watched their first game, and they have so much quality up front. Yeah, with Lacazette, with Aubameyang, with Saka, with Smith Rowe, with Papers. It's unbelievable. Odegaard for this level, but. In the first game I watched, for example, the Brentford game. Yeah, there was no Odegaard, there was no Lacazette, there was no Aubameyang. Saka just returned back more or less after a bit longer holiday. Yeah, and of course, when these key players are not available, then you're also sometimes struggling in this league. Yeah, because it's all about fine margins and a few percent. Right now, they are all back to fitness, all available, and for that. I expect Arsenal to play really also in general a good season, because they have lots of quality. We are not the favorite in this game, but like you said, it's an opportunity for us to get off the mark, and if it's anyhow possible, we want to win some points.
Thanks very much, Daniel. That's great, and good luck tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Elliot. Okay, we could go to Jim Van Dyke, please, from the PA.
Hopefully you can hear me, and you might be able to see me now with a bit of luck. Hi, Daniel. Thanks very much. Can you just check on all the recent signings? Are they all likely to be in contention? All paperwork sorted, everyone's all available?
Yes, they are all eligible to play and arrived yesterday also without any injuries from the national team. So in a theoretical way, they are definitely available. Yes.
I think most Norwich fans were impressed by the effort the clubs have made in the transfer window at the signings. Does that put extra pressure on you this season now to deliver with this group of players? Because they're certainly a step up from the calibre of play you had last time when you were in the Premier League.
No extra pressure, not at all. But we have the pressure anyway, so that we want to stay in this league. That's our approach during the season, and nothing has changed. And in general, so I think we're quite good in this transfer window, and I have lots of plays for Stuart Webber for our recruitment. I think they've done a fantastic job in general. When you judge what we've done, and you still have to say, okay, we worked with the tools of a self-funding club, and it was still not that we spent an unbelievable amount of money in the market. Yes, we had some incomings, but also we had some outgoings, and of course also new players, Ben Gibson and and Dimitrios Giannoulis. Officially, they are more or less like new players during this season, but let's be honest, we've sold last season Ben Godfrey and Jamal Lewis, and with this money, we brought them in, and it was just that in the counts, it was a matter during this season. And on the other hand, we spent we sold one of our key players, Emi Buendia, and with this money, we were able then to bring all the other players in, and I think Stuart Webber has done a fantastic job still with limited resources, but with what we've got, we tried everything anyhow, and we all got the feeling we are much better prepared than 2 years ago, and I'm quite happy with my squad. Yes.
So I mean, someone like Kabak won't need any settling in time, will he? He's almost sort of tailor-made, all ready to go in the Premier League straight away, and that's maybe what we were missing last time.
I would be careful when judging it in this way. In general, you have to watch and judge each and every individual situation, and sometimes you can't throw a player immediately into the mix. We've done this in the past, for example, with Dimitrios Giannoulis last January, or also with Brendan Williams. And Brendan Williams, a player who had a proper preseason with Man United, was also involved in some minutes, had already many experiences for Man United, even on Premier League level, was totally fit. And we had also some problems on this position, so we threw him straight away into the mix in the Bournemouth game, and then also in the next league game. But it can't be the same for each and every player. When I think, for example, about Ozan Kabak, of course, a player full of potential, but also still a young player. And his last league game was in April. Last league game in April for Liverpool. He missed all the last games due to injuries. Yes, had a part of preseason with Schalke, but in the negotiations the last 2 weeks, he was not involved in team training. The only minutes that he got was right now 45 minutes and under load against the Netherlands. So I was quite pleased that he had this 45 minutes. But if we're really honest, this were more or less his only competitive minutes in the last months. And if it would be that easy then my job would be unbelievably easy, and I just buy some players and just have some warm words, send them on the pitch and say good luck, and you have to deliver. No, we also have to be a bit careful what we're doing. He just arrived yesterday. Was yesterday then the first time together with this new group. So of course it's then anyhow tricky to be really fully settled in anyhow. Perhaps even a bit easier for Matthias Norman, because he had a proper preseason. He had also league games already. He was involved 60 and 70 minutes in 2 qualifier games. He had many games also in the last week. So in terms of fitness level, I think he's in a relatively good position. But also for him, it's then more or less not that easy. And he also just yesterday he came together the first time with his new teammates, and it's not that easy then to play straight away in a crucial role in the heart of our game in the central midfield. So in general, we are all happy that we have them. They will help us on the mid and the long term. How quick we can throw them in, we will see. So you always have to judge each and every individual player in a special way. Definitely good players, and I'm also quite sure that they will adapt quite quick because they're good players, they're intelligent players. Again, for Ozan, perhaps even a bit more difficult than for Matthias. But we will see. So I'm unbelievably happy that we have that.
So some suggestion then that they might not actually be involved at Arsenal, or just involved in the squad rather than in contention to play.
Yes, we will see. It also depends a bit on what happens today on the training pitch, also with the ability of some other players. So we have many things to keep in mind, and in general, so there was so much load also for my players. So for example, I was unbelievably happy for Milot Rasica, who had a great start into life for us with some proper performances. But of course, it was great for him to be involved 90 minutes on Wednesday evening in a difficult game against Spain. Of course, I was happy for him that he had the honor to play and represent his country, and he had lots of workload, of course, against a giant like Spain. But of course, a bit selfish. I would have wished that he wouldn't have to go for 90 minutes. Then just on Wednesday evening, then the travel back yesterday, turnaround is quick, just 2 days between the games. It could be difficult. Or for example, Billy Gilmore, he has played many minutes for us so far. Then also many minutes during this international break. So great for him and great experience. But we must not forget last season he was not involved in the club games. He was not really involved in the national team games. Right now, he has to deliver each and every second more or less for the club, for the country, and not just the physical load, but also the mental load. And then also for a young player, more or less in his first season where he plays so many minutes, they are difficult decisions because we can't overload the players, and these are just a few examples, and we have a few more of them if I'm really honest. So again, we will assess them, we will see who is really ready to go and fully recovered anyhow. So I'm looking forward to have the squad together next week with a normal week with time on the training pitch. I think then next week we will be able to have many options. So this time around we have to be perhaps even a bit more pragmatic and also a bit careful in our choices who gets minutes anyhow. So but it's always tricky. It's more or less the international break. The first game after this is for each and every club a bit tricky. I don't want to complain too much, but if I'm honest, not that easy anyhow to find the right solutions.
Just finally on Arsenal, if Norwich go there and win, it could be the last game in charge for Mikel Arteta. There's going to be obviously an atmosphere there. Is that a situation that can work into Norwich's favour? Good opening, crowd getting on the team's back and the manager's back, or do you just have to sort of blot out all of the noise around and just focus on your own team's performance?
No, it's also not my style to comment any other situation from other clubs, and I'm not in the position to judge any other circumstances and the situation the club is in. All I can say about Mikel Arteta, I think he's a fantastic guy. So we've met several times with unbelievable football knowledge, with unbelievable experience. I think he tries to bring his values and his handwriting into the club, and they had also in last season some fantastic performances. And like I described before, I know so in this business there's always pressure, and Mikel knows it. Especially he has played for some of the best clubs in the world, and he has handled this pressure as a player. And believe me, he won't crack under any pressure. Also not as a coach. He's much too smart and too intelligent and much too much such a good person. He knows that it's quite normal in this business. But like I mentioned before, so when I judge his first games, and also, for example, I watched a Brentford game when Brentford was able to beat Arsenal, although Arsenal had more possession. But let's be honest, so he had to play this game, for example, without all their key players. So without Aubameyang, without, like I said, without Xhaka, who just came on then because he was not ready to go, Odegaard not involved. So then it's unbelievably difficult. So on this level, 1 or 2% are always determining if decisive if you win or if you lose a game, even for the best clubs in the world. And if then some of your key players are not available and you have a corona outbreak anyhow, then it's also sometimes the hands are tied for the manager. And I think he's in general a fantastic manager. I'm pretty sure he will prove this also in the future, because he has a fantastic idea about football, also fantastic values. He's unbelievable great guy, and I'm pretty sure without judging the Arsenal situation, I think he will have a great career as a manager, and for that I'm full of respect what Mikel is doing in his job.
Thanks very much. Good luck at the Emirates. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, Jake from PLP.
Hi, Daniel. Hope you're okay.
Yes, all good, Jake.
I just heard you mention that you actually now think, having had the transfer window, that you think you're in a better position now than when you were in the Premier League last time. Is that based on the signings that you've made, you think, and the way the squad is shaping up?
In general, so there are many reasons for this. So we have developed a lot as a club. The first time, once we went up on Premier League level, we were still under unbelievable financial pressure, and we need the money in order to invest in the infrastructure, to pay for some sins in the past. This time around, the club is in a financially unbelievably stable position, very healthy position. And this, although there was the Corona situation and to play in front of empty stadiums. Also, our infrastructure is meanwhile in a much better place, a training ground. and also the quality, individual quality of the group. Let's be honest. So last time around, we had exactly one field player with Premier League experience. This was Alex Tete. Meanwhile, we have a group where several players already have played on this level. Even my young players, so like Max Aarons, Todd Cantwell, all the others have already played one season on Premier League level. They have already 30 plus games on this level. Also the new signings. Last time around, we had to sign players from a second and third tier anyhow from abroad. Meanwhile, we're able to bring still not world-class, fully developed players in, or proven Premier League players, but also players who have played on a top level, for example, on Bundesliga level or in the French league. And I think in general, we are in a much better place as a club.
That's good to hear. As you said, obviously you haven't got any points after the first 3 matches. How do you see things going forward? I mean, you've obviously had an international break. Perhaps that was like a good sort of way to restart and reset. Now also with the new signings as well.
Yes, I always predict that the first 4 or 5 games would be a bit bumpy, because we had this outbreak, Corona outbreak during preseason, where 11 players were out more or less just before the start against Liverpool. So for that, I think we had a really good first 65 minutes against Liverpool. Okay, away at the Etihad is always a difficult situation. If the statistics are then Manchester City had 4 shots on our target and scored 5 goals anyhow, then it's always tricky to win a football game. That's for sure. Really good game against Leicester, where we where we deserved at least 1 point. I think we were pretty close also in the second half to win this game. Yeah, sometimes you have to accept this in football. So sometimes you don't grab your deserved reward. And I got the feeling we are growing from day to day. And also this international break was good because we were able to sign Ozan Kabak and Matthias Norman. Of course, they will need the next week also in order to settle in a little bit. And this first game would always be a bit bumpy, perhaps after the first international break. Yeah, because the players are just back since yesterday, and some like Josh Sargent, for example, are just coming back today. It's always a bit tricky. Then you can't really work with the big group we had in the first week of the international break, exactly 6 first-team players around, and the second week till yesterday we had exactly 8 around. So it's then always a bit tricky to work on the tactical behavior of the whole team. But in general, I'm looking forward also to have the next week, but in order to work with the team. But nevertheless, we're also highly motivated. To have only a good first game after the international break tomorrow, and we are highly motivated.
Is it maybe good to have got some of those tougher games? I mean, they were top 5 last season, those 3 teams, and maybe you've got them out of the way early.
Yes, we will see. So I'm far away from interpreting too much into the schedule anyhow. And of course, you can always analyze, always perhaps better to play this type of teams, perhaps in between 2 Champions League games when the focus is more on the Champions League and they rest some players, and perhaps not against Liverpool, who are just fully concentrated 6 weeks just on this game, or against Man City, first game in the fully packed Etihad since 2 years, and they were able to present the silverware from last season. But it is like it is. We accept the schedule like it is, and in the end, you have to face each and every opponent 2 times. 1 time in the home game, 1 time in the away game, and we want to use each and every game in order to have a chance to win some points. So yes, they are out of the way. It's perhaps not the worst thing in the world, but it doesn't mean that all the other games are easy right now. So we have to be spot on, especially as a self-funding club. In each and every game, you have to be there with 100% in order to give ourselves a chance to win some points. And for that, we know we have to be fully focused.
And I know you mentioned that they did have quite a few players missing when they played Brentford. But surely there must be some things that you've looked at and thought, actually, we can be successful against Arsenal, even though they had a lot of players out in that match.
Yes, of course. Yeah, you analyze the opponent, and you always speak about things you have to control against them. And of course, their individual quality in the offense is still one of the best in this league. And these players don't have to prove anything. So it's unbelievable quality. Yeah, of course, you also try to figure out some solutions how you can hurt them and can also create chances and score goals. And of course, you do this against each and every opponent. And again, in one game, you always have a chance, even against the best sides in the world. and we were also highly motivated in against the 3 of the top 5 sides from last season, and we're also highly motivated right now to be really good and spot on in the important topics for the game also tomorrow.
And just lastly, you mentioned Milot Rashica. He was named Norwich Player of the Month by the fans. Obviously, you brought him in because you think he's a good player, but surely you kind of expected him to have had such a positive impact in only 3 matches.
Yes, I'm quite pleased with Milot's developing. Because you could feel in pre-season he needs a little bit till he gets back to his full fitness. And there was even during pre-season some criticism of him because he wasn't there too much involved in goals and assists. And in general, for that, it was quite a good start. I think it was important to step up in terms of fitness level. There's still lots of space for improvement. Because hopefully he also gets off the mark in terms of goals and assists, and also more important, even with some successful team performances. And anyhow, so because football is a team sport, it's not about individuals. Otherwise, you have to play tennis or golf or something like this. So it's all about the team, and for that, I think Milot deserves lots of praise, and we are all happy that we have him. But it's more all about the team and not so much about individual players.
Okay, thank you, and best of luck, of course.
Thank you, Jake.
Thanks, Jake. Okay, if we can go to Jackson, please, from TalkSport.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Jackson.
Mikel Arteta, you're speaking very highly of him today. He described your team as a joy to watch in his press conference yesterday. How does praise like that make you feel? And do you have anything to say back to him about his team?
Would be better if he would have said a joy to watch and also unbelievable horrendous to play against. So that would be the ultimate praise. No, in general. So of course, when such an expert and Mikel is in the game for so many years and has so much experience, praises your style and your club, it's always a compliment. Because it's not something anyhow that he says is a joy to watch anyhow, because then he hopes that we are easy to beat anyhow. So it's more like it's a true opinion, and for that we take the praise. But in football, it's always also about the result and also to be effective. It's not like just that we are a joy to watch. Otherwise, we should do some synchron swimming anyhow. We also want to be effective, and football is all about effectiveness as well. And in this topic, we can improve because we also want to bring some points on the table anyhow. And for that, we are also highly motivated in order to improve our effectiveness. Like I mentioned, I think when he has got all his players together, and there were a few occasions, especially also in the last season, when he had then all his players together, and then you can see his handwriting, and also that he has worked, for example, together with Pep, and also took many experiences out of this period, and then at this times Arsenal can also look sometimes unplayable. Of course, due to some not availability of some key players, they had a tough start into this league, but it's for each and every club the same. Also, Liverpool had many injury problems last season, and they had also periods when they were struggling. And this is even for the best sides and the best coaches and the best players in the world the case. When you don't have your key players, you're not in your rhythm, you're not fully fit, and it's also difficult. But if Mikel has got time to work with the team, and he has all his tools available, I'm pretty sure then he will create also not just unbelievably nice football, but also unbelievably effective football. He has also proven this in many occasions also in last season, and I'm pretty sure he will be fine in the end. Hopefully not tomorrow, but in the end I'm pretty sure he will be fine.
And we've mentioned Ozan Kabak. You've said how he might need some time to settle in, but over the course of the season, what are you hoping he's going to bring?
Yes, Ozan is a player full of potential. So it's no coincidence that he has played also for big clubs in Germany. Also, a club like Liverpool was excited to bring him in last season. Also due to some injuries, yes, but also in this age, he's 21 and full of potential. Has already played several games on Champions League level, and we are all unbelievably happy that we have him in. We still have to keep in mind that the last months were not easy for him, because, like I mentioned, his last league game was in April, and difficult preseason, and he will need some time to be there with full fitness. Yeah, of course, it would have been great to have had Ozan here around already in the beginning of preseason, but there was so much interest in him, and at this moment in the beginning of preseason, also from the financial point of view, we were not able to afford them, and thank God we found a solution in the end of the transfer window. And for that, probably needs also a few days and perhaps a couple of weeks in order to be there to full fitness. But in general, I think in the mid and long term, he will help us a lot. And in addition to that, he's also a great guy. And we're really happy that we have.
Are you surprised that Liverpool didn't keep him on, like sign him permanently?
No, not surprised. To be honest, I also spoke with Jürgen Klopp about this topic, because we have a quite good relationship. But he was also full of praise for Ozan. But once you have the likes of Van Dijk, Matip, Konate, they were able to bring Konate in, Gomez. Anyhow, then it's also difficult for a 20-year-old player then to be ahead of them. So I can also totally understand why Jürgen said, okay, perhaps Van Dijk is perhaps even the bit bigger solution at the moment for Liverpool. And for that, we are just unbelievably happy that we have Ozan. And I think his reputation in the game is unbelievably high. And I think it's remarkable that a club like us, a self-funding club, was able to bring him in. But again, it's not all about individual players to get them back on track. So it's more like the other way around. He has to help us in order to play effective football, and for that, it's all about the team, and he has to deliver with performances. But I'm quite sure as soon as he reaches a fitness level and is also settled in, also adapted to our style, he will have a major impact.
Okay, I think we'll leave it there. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackson. Okay, Jim Conlon, please.
Hi, Daniel. Just in relation to the international window break that you had there at the weekend, there was two Irish players playing against Serbia, Androba Daly at centre back and Andrew Ida up front. Androba Daly had a terrific game for Ireland up against Mitrovic and Vlahovic for the Fiorentina striker. What did you make of his performance? Is Andrew close to making his Premier League debut now for Norwich?
Andrew is always in my thoughts, and I love to work with young players, but there are no gifts for myself. And he played in a crucial moment last season when it was crunch time period, all the last 9 games, and he was fantastic anyhow. And sadly, before the Liverpool game, he missed 2 training sessions due to an illness anyhow, and he had a tough start into the season. I was unbelievably delighted for him that he has his full debut right now, also for the Irish team, and I think he was there. It was a really good performance, also already against Portugal, and pretty happy for Andrew. And Andrew is always in my thoughts, and always a good option for our defensive row. And also Adam Ida, was important for him to get many minutes because in the last couple of years he was struggling a lot with injuries and not in his full rhythm. And of course, he has lots of competition. Also here with Timo Pukki, with Josh Sargent, not that easy for him to play each and every minute. I think he had a good preseason, also some good appearances so far. And I think his performance were also definitely all right for the Irish team. Of course, everyone would prefer if he's also off the mark then for Ireland also pretty soon. But I think this minutes will definitely help him also in his personal and individual development.
Daniel, I spoke to Thomas Frank yesterday, and I asked him what his transfer deadline day was, and he was able to tell me he was back in Denmark, and he was able to go to bed an hour before the deadline actually closed. It was a quiet day for him. How was the day like for you? Was it a very relaxing sort of an occasion? Was it fairly hectic? Was it hands-on between you and the chairman?
Quite relaxed, coffee and cake on the sofa. Of course, the mobile was in my hand. I was in close contact always with Stuart Webber. And but if you have Stuart Webber on your side, you don't have to worry at all. You can also enjoy the coffee and the cake anyhow, because he's doing an amazing job and fantastic. And he's great also in dealing with all the things. Of course, we decide everything together. But it was a quite relaxed day, yes.
Yeah. And Daniel, lastly from me, I suppose the Arsenal sort of challenge, you mentioned the players that they were missing, but also when you consider the experience that they were missing for the first few games, we know Thomas Partey, Atletico Madrid, he's sort of leadership. Aubameyang has played at the highest level. Lacazette has represented his country. He's captain Leon as well. So these were experienced players that Arsenal were missing. It was almost like there was youngsters that Mikel was working with for the first 2 or 3 games. Are you a bit concerned about that going forward, that Arsenal are probably coming into this weekend's game with a lot more experience available to them now?
Yes, of course, it's a different Arsenal side. Then it's not just experience, but also unbelievable quality. Pierre-Emerick is a world-class striker, and he has proved this. So, also in terms of his goals, one of the best forwards who has played in the Premier League in the last decade with this amount of goals. He's unbelievable, and also great character. Like I said, we don't have to speak about his quality. Also, Saka right now back to full fitness. Also the other offensive options like Ødegaard right now also settled in completely then, and in general, so they, especially their offense is outstanding in terms of their individual quality, but you can't choose. So we have the situation that they are probably more or less all available for this game, and for that, we don't fear them. We are respectful. That's definitely for sure. But we don't travel in fear. We know that even against the best side in the world, when we are good in our topics, we have a chance, and we want to prove this also tomorrow.
Cheers, Daniel. Best of luck at the weekend.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, if you could go to Paddy Davitt, please, and then if there's nobody else, we'll jump to Rob Butler after.
Daniel, how are you?
Paddy, hi. All okay, thank you.
Good man. Just a couple from me now. Barley Mumba, you said before the international break, you had a bit of a knee issue. Just get an update on him, fitness-wise.
Yes, some good news with him. He took part in part of the team training already on Wednesday, and since yesterday he's fully back in team training. So good news with him. Of course, he missed obviously the last more or less 3 weeks in terms of training. So wait a little bit till he's in there with 100%. But he's definitely back in team training, and good to have him back.
And the other guy, who obviously said prior to the international break, probably unlikely he would go and join up, and that was Jolis. And I think he actually had a little bit of a cameo midweek for Greece and made an impact with an assist. So positive news that obviously he went away and was able to play. So in terms of availability for tomorrow, we can assume he's in the mix as well.
Yeah, so far so good. If I'm honest, I was a little bit concerned in the beginning, because it was clear that he would miss the first 2 games for a Greek team anyhow, and because our doctor said, okay, listen, it will probably last about 2 weeks at least till he's back and fully fit, and it was a bit of a risk that he was in the squad, but it also says a lot about his reputation that the Greek team want to do everything in order to involve him. And I was also a bit concerned when he came on. Of course, if then everything works fine and he's there with a great assist as well, good for his self-confidence, good for his rhythm, and it seems that everything was okay with the calf, then definitely good news. But it was also a bit risky anyhow, and but definitely good news that he's back. And yesterday we were careful with him. We didn't bring him back on the training pitch, just some rehab and just some assessment. But this afternoon we have another session, and if he comes through the session also without any reaction in his calf, then he's definitely also available for tomorrow, and that's definitely good news.
Good news, yeah. And just a final one from me. Reliably informed tomorrow, 200th game for your good self in charge of this football club. When you walked through the door in 2017, I'm pretty sure you wasn't thinking about clocking up 200 games as a head coach, but the sense of pride you feel, you've talked obviously in the past about it's an honour for you to manage or to coach this team, this club, but 200 games, just give us your thoughts on that ahead of that very important milestone.
That's right. So since you mentioned it, I was not even thinking about this, if I'm really honest, because the last days were really, really hectic, and also, anyhow, then you follow in the middle of the night if Josh Sargent is starting, and how long does he play, and does he really come back anyhow? So it was more like to think about, okay, which player is really available, and like I mentioned before, it was and is tricky also to have the right decisions for tomorrow. So I was not thinking too much about what has happened with me in the past. But it's of course definitely a remarkable number. Anyhow, I'm unbelievable in this moment. Also unbelievable, grateful and thankful and humble that I'm allowed to work in this responsible role for this amazing club. But I know it's not normal to have this backing and this trust and this all the support and all this help, especially in this business. It's not normal at the moment that you're in charge for 200 games as a manager. Anyhow, it's not normal in nowadays at least. And for that, I'm unbelievably grateful and thankful for the people I'm working with. And hopefully I'm allowed to be for a few more games in charge. It's definitely for sure.
Well, congratulations on the milestone. Thanks for your time, Daniel. Good luck tomorrow. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers, Paddy. Rob.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, Daniel.
Rob, hi.
Let's crack on. Just a little line on Josh Sargent. You know, you've talked about the fact he arrived late last night, and obviously not getting that sleep is what's really affected him. Is that frustrating for you, or do you just accept it's part of the international games that we have?
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating, yes, because he was in a great shape before, and also important player already for us. He has proved this, and then to be away in different time zones, and the flight back yesterday, he played the game, finished the game more or less in 5 a.m. in the morning, catch the flight at 7 a.m. and more or less without sleep. Then he had the flight back, tried to sleep a little bit on the flight, wasn't able to sleep. Then time difference, he reported a bit of jet lag today, and it's also no coincidence that there are some problems with his hamstring then after such a journey, and we have to assess him. I think it's doubtful if he can be really involved tomorrow. In general, at least we know then hopefully he will back to fully fitness during the next week, and we'll see what happens with him. But of course, in general, so I think many clubs are struggling with these problems, and for that we are not the only club, and for that no excuses, and we don't complain too much. We accept this and go on with it.
Yeah, just on Ozan Kabak as well. You've been talking, warmly about him and the fact you've kind of had him in training, not for very long. And I was interested to hear you say you talked to Jurgen Klopp about it. And obviously, I guess Mr. Klopp told you how good he is.
Yeah, so in general, I don't like to speak too much about our conversations anyhow, but also Jürgen was full of praise of him, about his potential and also about his character, and was definitely also an important chat for me anyhow in order to give it a real go, in order to bring him in. And I was even before fully convinced, but it's always good when the most experienced and the most quality coaches in the world and person in this business also recommend a player, and there's not a guarantee that it will work out, so we will see in general. So it's not a guarantee that each and every coach is always right anyhow, but it says a lot about his reputation and also his potential at least, and we want to help him also to develop his full potential, and then I think he can help us.
It caught a lot of people's eye, that signing, outside of Norwich, and lots of other fans of other clubs are kind of going, Norwich is serious now, they're signing players like that. Would you sort of agree that that's your most impressive signing, or are you going to be fair to all the players you've brought in?
So, to be honest, it's not like we are just out for public standing ovations, and it just has to make sense. That's the most important topic. There was also some criticism, for example, about Josh Sargent anyhow, because his goal record was perhaps not that impressive, and he was not such a big name here in England. But then, after his first appearances, I think everyone was convinced, there's a player in him anyhow, and we have to go this way. So we can't afford, as a self-funding club, to bring in really proven Premier League players, because these players cost £20 million plus anyhow, and we can't do this. So for that, we have to be a bit more creative. Yeah, of course, Ozan is a player with highly reputation, and it was not possible to bring him in, for example, at the beginning of preseason. So for that, we have to deal with it, that we allow him some time to be there with full fitness anyhow, and adapt to our style. But we have to go this way, and a bit more creative, a bit more patient. But it's also a good sign that we attract right now already players of his category anyhow, and it's definitely also a sign that we're moving totally into the right direction.
onto the game at Arsenal. I mean, it could be a bit of a pressure cooker at the Emirates Stadium because we all know about the pressure that's on every Premier League manager, but Mikel Arteta, bottom of the league, what have you. Are you going to play on that? Does that something that factors into your team talk to really go at them in the first few minutes, get the crowd on their backs?
No, I can't influence what happens in a different stadium, and we also want to win points anyhow. Never just because it's easy for us anyhow. So I have no problems if however the game develops, if the Arsenal fans try to be there and help and support the team for 90 minutes anyhow. So and in the end we are there with a good result. So I don't mind. So I don't believe in such psychological things too much, and especially they have so many experienced players like I said, like Aubameyang. So many quality players anyhow, and for that I don't think they crack under pressure. They've played so many games, and I don't think they would be nervous even if there are a few supporters complaining about this. So we take the atmosphere like it is, and it could be also totally different if they have a good start and a few good situations and there's a big relief and everyone is celebrating, and we still want to be competitive. So it's just important that we are really good in our game, and then also we give ourselves a chance in order to be there with a good result.
Yeah, I mean, Norwich have got, in the Premier League, forget the Championship last season, but in the Premier League, they've got a pretty poor record of when you concede the opening goal of not being able to get back in the game. I think it's the last 28 that they've lost. Does that factor in anywhere that perhaps Norwich don't have that kind of bounce back that you need in games, or do you not really think about that?
To be honest, the great success and the turning, the ability to turn games, for example, on championship level last season or 3 years ago, doesn't help us at all on Premier League level. And if I'm honest, also the lack of the ability to turn games, for example, on Premier League level, let's say 2 years ago, doesn't help us, or is also not against us during this season. It's more like to show this team, this availability to turn games. During this season, I got the feeling we've got this bounce back mentality, and we can do this. Of course, if you're back, at the Etihad with 3-0, anyhow, it's difficult to turn a game. Let's be honest. But also against Leicester, we showed, there was a sucker punch anyhow, and we played for the on. We didn't get nervous. We turned the game anyhow, and equalized, and we're pretty close to turn the game completely. And we have this ability during the season. I'm pretty sure there will be also games where we are coming back after a losing position, but if I could choose, I would definitely play without a losing position. I would like to go in front, because then up front, because it's always easier than to win football games. Yes.
And just finally, the Brentford game, which I'm sure you watched, that Friday night kind of kickoff game for the Premier League, they really did get in their faces, Brentford, and they were really kind of almost bombarding them there with long throws and what have you. Norwich, you never want to change the way you play, but you watched that game. Did that kind of ring any bells for you to think perhaps, be a little bit aggressive and get in their faces?
Yes, we always want to be unbelievably aggressive and to be in their face, but you can't compare two games anyhow that much. Like I mentioned, so it was a bit more like a bit stronger youth team Arsenal had to play, and let's be honest. So it was, with all respect also to the Brentford performance, fantastic, all okay. They deserve all the praise. I'm also full of respect was what Thomas Frank is doing there, but it was perhaps even a bit easier to win this game instead of playing against the side with Aubameyang, with like I said, with Saka back to full fitness, with Odegaard anyhow. So it's then definitely a different side, and we were also in the phases, for example, 2 years ago against Man City anyhow, and were aggressive and won many balls up front anyhow and scored goals. It's not a proof that you can do this each and every week. So for that, it's not like we have to speak about we have learned too much from a different team. We have to work with our tools, and with our tools we want to be competitive too.
Lovely stuff. Thanks, Daniel. All the best. Take care.
Rob, thank you. Thanks, everyone. We'll leave it there. And as always, we'll make sure this recording is sent around later this afternoon. Thank you.